In the spirit of the Olympics, Roy bags a silver and 3 bronze. All in the same field of play and all in record time.
And yet again. Learn your lessons.
Third time lucky, the League Against Cruel Sports pushed through 2 laws banning hunting in Britain. Now they're having another go in Northern Ireland. Plus, get your choppers out. Paul Childerley explains how he uses a Gerber machete to outperform his gamekeeping duties. We're giving away a Browning Maxus 2 priced at £1,200. We have news, we have hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. As Roy's been playing mummies and daddies with his falcons for the last 6 months, this is the first time in ages that he's been out filming with David. Clearly, he's been missed.
Although I'm back, you're only half back. I've come back and David's faded away. You haven't got quieter, have you? I could use you as a stick.
Well, maybe. He has brought us to a small, neat patch of ground we haven't filmed on for years. It is brimming with wildlife, with 3 deer species as well as lots of foxes and a good population of amphibians.
Just in the sort of latter part of the roebuck rut at the moment. And it has been kicking off fantastically. We've got enough bells and whistles in pockets that we could start a rave, so we should be able to give that a go and see if we can call anything in.
As we set off, Roy starts squeaking. A bit premature, maybe a new call, a new technique.
Oh, don't film that. I've got new inserts in and they're squeaking.
Of course, it could be because Roy is weighed down with kit, calls, Leica optics and the Pulsar Accolade 2 with laser rangefinder. Not that he needs it right now. His slow and steady pace means this mist-shrouded buck is totally unaware of us and Roy's unfortunate squeak.
Where he is, we could actually shoot him at the moment, but it's very difficult in the mist to get a true assessment of him, so I want to get him over to have a look at him. And it's always nice just to have a bit of a play, a bit of a response.
It takes a number of calls to get it on its feet, and there's the reason why. A doe in tow. As it comes, Roy repositions. Roy won't have a backstop if the buck pops up where we expect.
You want him? Yeah. They always try and head for the corner of this field, so I wasn't quite sure. Yeah, he was a little bit on edge, and again he had a doe with him as well. But he was coming through there, and again, absolutely stunning with this mist this morning. Just gave us the opportunity for a shot. So I'll go down and have a look at him. I mean, you could see with his body shape when he came down along the bottom there that he was big-bodied, had a good thick neck on him, good thick shoulder. You know, he's still got a little bit of his winter coat in as well. So he's certainly an older animal. He's got some sloping on his pedicles, so yeah, he's an older buck. Where he's cast many times, the pedicle length decreases, and you tend to get a slope on the coronets here, so his coronets are sloping down. So when they start off as a young buck, the pedicles are quite tall on the head, and each time they cast, they lose a little bit of bone, and as they lose a little bit of bone, it tends to also go down on the edges, so you tend to have a sloping end to the pedicles as they get older, and then obviously that gives the sloping coronets. So, you know, I mean, that's down on his head there. So again, when we look at his teeth, it'll be interesting just to see exactly how old he is.
Shot closely gone sort of necky.
Yeah, no, I went front end there, so where he was looking on, and again, we've gone in there, so that will have taken the spine out, which is obviously why he dropped on the spot. That was the best shot opportunity for me. That will drop him on the spot, and obviously cause the least amount of meat damage as well. It doesn't matter what other deer you deal with, roebucks in summer pelage are just absolutely stunning. They really are, just beautiful.
The chances are that it's a silver medal animal, and as we've got off to a flying start, we continue on around the grounds to see if any other bucks react to the call. Unfortunately, we get nothing apart from a stunning morning. We return to the field where we shot the buck, and, as is traditional with Lord Lupton, we indulge in post-stalking foxing.
We're going to call here because it gives us the best opportunity for a good backstop and gives us quite a wide vista. The only problem is unfortunately the sun is on our face because we've got to be here because the wind is coming this way, and obviously just the way the topography works, but they're in shadow there, so we're looking into shadow with the sun in our eyes, whereas we're going to be glinting up in the sun. So if we do get a response from a fox, we're going to have to rely on it being a little bit slack this morning. Hopefully he's been on the drink last night, but or maybe some young ones, because there are a few litters around here. So as I say, we'll give it a call, but I don't think we're going to get much of a chance to get them. So David, you're going to have to be on it, and quick. No faffing. David the racing snake is obviously feeling incredibly sharp because he spotted that fox before I did, which is a little bit of an embarrassment. I'm obviously a little bit off my game, so where I've been off breeding birds and eating for the season. So as I say, it's David clocked that one before I did.
It's because it's so pale. It's
really? Okay.
Our morning is complete. Or is it?
Whoa, 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 David. Fox there, look. See its head? You wanna? Yeah. Bonus fox. Yeah, always wait. Again, we were just walking down because we were just commenting on what a lovely morning we've had, and I was just coming down here, looked across there, I just saw a set of ears poking up just over the rise there. We would have seen him perfectly from there, but another one was just coming along. So again, yeah, we're always guilty of it. Just take, you want to, and do it again. Learn your lessons. I need to reload. So the second fox went down, and I was just taking the mickey out of David, saying that we always rush because he always pushes us and chivies us along, and carried on coming down, and I just saw a little bit of red in the undergrowth, and you could just see the ears again just poking up out of the undergrowth there, and we just got on the sticks, and I could just see enough of the head just to sneak a shot through. Oh, there we go. I think we're done. Who knows?
A successful morning has turned into a very successful morning. There's just a little bit of time left for Roy to get some stuff off his chest.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, most people think that conservation is just preserving, and that is not what conservation is about. You can't preserve all species. Foxes don't need a helping hand, crows don't need a helping hand, and I would guarantee that these three foxes we've shot here have been going around and feasting on all of the frogs, all of the newts, some of the reptiles as well. So it's the wider picture that we need to look at. It's about trying to conserve the species that do need a helping hand, which is exactly the same argument that we're having with grouse moors at the moment. And those predators are not rare, those predators are in abundance everywhere else, which is why we're seeing the declines everywhere else. So the only places you do see thriving wildlife populations are generally areas where there is a sensible management control of predators.
Why is it so many conservation groups ignore what we see as blindingly obvious? Nature needs someone to pull the trigger or set the trap, otherwise the lower ends of the food chain suffer, like the amphibians, and the artificially supersized predator populations just keep taking. Roy emerging like a butterfly from his chrysalis. Talking of Lepidoptera, let us gather like moths around the current affairs flame that is David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. It's been a bad year for grouse, according to the gamekeepers of Northern England. Grouse counts are low because of hard weather during the crucial hatching period in the spring. However, there's better news for grouse moors from the government. The GWCT has been given a grant to help merlins. The organisation will get £247,900 from the Green Recovery Challenge Fund, one of 90 nature-based projects to get money from a £40 million pool. The money will fund 1,000 jobs created or retained in more than 600 sites from Northumberland to Cornwall and include planting nearly 1 million trees. Merlins are red listed as birds of conservation concern and are mainly found on grouse moors. Northern Ireland Environment Agency has dropped plans to change general licences in the province. It had signalled it would remove rooks, herring gulls, lesser black-backed gulls and great black-backed gulls from the general licence regime, meaning they'd be protected. Country Sports Ireland submitted a response to the consultation in which it accused the agency of bias towards protection. The consultation was then withdrawn. Olympic shooting events are over and it's been a disappointing Games for Team GB. With top medal hope Amber Hill knocked out of Olympic skeet by COVID, it fell to Matt Coward-Holly to win our only medal, bronze in Olympic trap, putting Team GB 17th in the shooting medal table. Northern Irish trap shooter Kirsty Hegarty came 17th in women's Olympic trap and, like fellow trap shooter Aaron Heading in the men's, didn't qualify for the final. Matt and Kirsty took part in the first trap mixed team event at the Olympics and came 10th. 5 targets behind the eventual winners, Spain. World #1 target shooter Shona McIntosh from Scotland came 12th in the qualifying for the 10-metre air rifle competition and 14th in the 50-metre rifle 3 positions, but also didn't make the final. The top shooting nation on the medal table is China. Antis are harassing the organisers of an agricultural show after an anti-fox hunting group pulled out of the event. The Gillingham and Shaftesbury Agricultural Society allowed the group Action Against Fox Hunting to attend this year's show. However, the group decided against going after it claimed it was threatened on social media. The Agricultural Society gave the group a refund and then came under attack itself by Antis. The Society has released a statement rejecting accusations by AAF that it is one-sided. A rural crime officer in Cheshire is under fire after a Facebook post. PC Jim Clark wrote a post with the headline, "Wildlife Offence," in capital letters after a dead buzzard was found near Mottram. He then warned intentionally injured or killing a bird of prey without a licence is a crime. Following that, by confirming the bird was not shot and admitting he had no idea what caused its death. Angry Facebookers asked what the offence was. He was forced to explain the post was a mistake and perhaps he should have put a question mark after the headline, which he wrote based on someone else's assumption the buzzard was shot. Thanks to Richard Walton for that story. Wild Justice's Mark Avery is calling for an immediate ban on lead ammunition in Wales. Writing on Twitter, Avery declared lead is killing our wildlife and pointed to a petition on the Welsh Government website that ends today. However, the petition needs 10,000 signatures and failed to reach half that amount, so it is unlikely to be considered for debate. A 60-year-old fisherman from Northumberland has landed the biggest ever cod in Scottish waters. Tony Irwin caught the monster cod off Muckle Flugger in the Shetland Islands. The fish weighed in at 22 kilograms and was about 1.2 metres long. Tony told the BBC it took him half an hour to get it on board the boat. A German former priest is calling for people to have the right to shoot wolves. Georg Gilgenrainer accuses supporters of the animals of absurd religious wolf worship and said shooting rules should be the same as boars. He has written to the Bavarian Prime Minister asking for wolf-free zones to be introduced, or traditional mountain farms will disappear because of wolves eating livestock. An Australian politician has welcomed changes in law that target activists that break the law. Tasmanian MP Gavin Pearce said it was about time groups claiming to be charities were stripped of their charitable status if they commit assault, trespass, vandalism or illegal blockades, referring partly to high-profile protests by animal rights extremists. He made his comments after Tassie Governor-General Barbara Baker signed off a plan to investigate charity groups and strip them of their tax-free status. Pearce said if these groups want to act criminally, they can pay taxes just like the rest of us. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. Coronavirus lockdowns have fueled an ammo buying frenzy in the US. Once again, shooters complain that the country's shops have run out. Some have voiced concerns about new gun owners not having enough bullets to practice handling their weapons safely. Ammunition manufacturers say they're producing as much as they can, but many gun shop shelves are empty and prices keep rising. The shortage is so bad, firearms instructors for law enforcers are having to cancel lessons. The Norwegian government is hiring goats to manage some of its highways. For 13 years, the Public Roads Administration has used billy goats from a farmer in Gloppen to eat bushes and shrubs along the E39 road in Browning. A spokesman for the department said the new employees were effective in keeping the vegetation down. And finally, a year ago, we ran a story about a German nudist chasing a wild boar that had stolen his computer bag. Now the scene has been immortalised in miniature for model train enthusiasts. The action set, called Wildscheinalarm, no translation necessary there I think, sells for €13.99. Besides the laptop bag carrying boar and naked man, it includes 2 colourful lilos for extra realism. Maker Bush Model Bow says it's a runaway success. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking stories, fishing for facts.
Now a plug for this week's Fieldsports Extra competition, and it's a big one. It's a draw for a Browning Maxus 2, the new semi-auto from Browning, priced at £1,200. It's a sleeker version of the Maxus with recoil reduced to a point where Browning claims it is the lowest recoil gas-powered semi-auto on the market. How to enter? Find out on Fieldsports Extra, the programme we put out on Tuesdays for our supporters. To join them, to join the Fieldsports Nation, click on the link in the description below. What are the odds? Better than most. We had 130 entries for £600 worth of Vario Revolution hearing protection this week. We will run the Browning Maxus 2 competition for 2 weeks and draw it on the 17th of August 2021. Now, we all know that Paul Childerley was a ranking officer in the Special Forces. Okay, a sixer in the Cub Scouts. He knows his way around a sharp implement. So, with the help of Gerber, we asked him to explain what he uses and how he uses it as he performs his gamekeeping duties.
The Machete. So here we've got 2 machetes, brand new one with the warning sign.
What's it say?
Dangerous tool. Good quote actually, because it is a dangerous tool, and as you can see on this one, which I've had for a year, it is a tool and I've used it. You know, we've hit a bit of a stone there, look, it's curled right back there, it must have been a fair old smack. But we use it for a tool, so we use it for hitting down brushing around a pen, cutting the rides, knocking down branches next to a high seat, down the range, just trimming up the side of the range. But for using it for a while, the worst scenario is a glancing blow. you know, you're using it, you're thinking about other things, thinking about the next job you've got to do. And it is important that you're basically always striking away from yourself. Whichever action you're doing, you're moving the blade away from the body, and most important, these things, away from your legs, because that's the classic one. You hit a branch in front of you, and it flump off, and it goes straight down, and it obviously hit you straight in the side of the leg, straight in the kneecap. This bit of hazel here. Hazel always cuts well anyway. I'm not telling people how to you know, to suck eggs, but it's amazing. I've done a few sort of like bushcraft course with a few people and bits and pieces, and it is an art. Using like a bill hook, a slasher, and my dad taught me that when I was a mere boy. It's all about the angle and reading the tree. Same when you're chainsawing, stopping the blade getting pinched. But yeah, so basically, a lot of people would try and cut stuff like that's going through already. That like long, that straight angle. But if you just change it round, just cut at a slightly angle, a bit more of an angle, it goes straight through. I mean, put a bit of welly on it. You know, it goes through no problem at all. I mean, then you've got the bigger trees. I'll just cut that off there. Bigger trees like this, obviously, sink a little cut in. 1, 2, into the way.
See, I wouldn't think of attacking that size of timber with anything but a saw, but
No.
you can do it with a machete.
Yes, you can. So yeah. I'm not just cutting trees down willy-nilly. Actually, this is the stuff that's over top the ride, so actually this job does need doing. And again, so this is the one where you're like just knocking down branches and bits and pieces, where you're cutting stuff close to the floor. If you can, put stuff between your leg and the blade, and try to just strike away. So if it does slip out, it goes past your leg. We'll use that. Yeah, so same thing again, cutting away from yourself.
And would you think it's an underused tool? Do you think not enough people actually see the practical use of a machete? You just think it's Rambo?
I'd tell you the truth, ever since I had the other one, I use it loads because it is so light and so easy. Whereas you get a hook or like a slasher or a big hook, you've got that like long handle and it is quite cumbersome. But this is like, you know, deadly, you know, straight through, easy to carry, lightweight, and yeah, it's a fantastic job.
Now I am off to Northern Ireland, where there's plenty on the Fieldsports plate. Before we get to that, let's go fishing for Dollaghan. This is 6 mile water running through Antrim into Lough Neagh, and running up it a Dollaghan, the trout that's, well, a bit like a sea trout really, Northern Irish freshwater version of a sea trout.
So this fish lived in the river, probably, it lived in the river at one stage, and then probably when it was about 7, 8, 9 inches long, probably dropped back into the loch and fed, and come back into the river to spawn again. These fish here, that fish there, comes into the river next year, that fish will be back. Wild trout, Lough Neagh, Dollaghan trout. It's just a strain of these fish that we have, you know. Most of them's all big black spots, you know.
Yeah, lovely.
But that fish there, they're you know, they're coming into the river, I guess now, to spawn.
Yep.
Hen fish, that is. They're coming into the river to spawn. That fish there will come back next year. That'll be £2 heavier. They put on £2 a weight a year.
Success.
Yeah.
That's
how you do it.
That's how you do it.
The big breakthrough in Dollaghan fishing came just a few years ago. Up until then, night fishing was the best way to land one of those fish. Now it's check nymphing, as local angler Philip Johnson explains.
A couple of years back now I saw this, but we've seen competition boys coming onto the river and they're giving away their secrets otherwise. So I was watching a couple of competition boys fishing away, and they were catching loads of fish, claiming they were catching 60, 70 fish in a day. So I was curious and I tried it, and once I got the hang of it, I started to understand what it was all about. It was a really, really good method. You know, started really working for me. So he's got I've got an Dollaghan, yes. He's got.
No, I'm okay, Jim.
No, and he's just lost.
He's lost it.
Them rubber hooks.
So just talk me through the technique.
Well, basically it's just like he's floating the cider, so he's casting his flies up and he's keeping everything in the same speed of current, the two flies. Just letting it drift back, keeping in contact with the flies, and as soon as that cider moves or nudges or stops or anything, he's straight into it. So
That little bit of orange on the end.
yes, that's it, just a wee bit of braid. So it is. As long as he keeps in contact with it, that's it. It moves, nudges, anything stops.
So what is check nymphing? Derek tries to teach me.
All right, keep the orange back just off the water.
Right, I see. Oops.
That's it. Lift the rod up a wee bit. Lift it up high. Lift the rod up high. Straight.
I think that was on the bottom.
That's it. Right, lift the rod up. Keep the rod up high.
The flies we are using are Derek and Philip's hand-tied nymphs. The line is tapered carp monofil. How is it heavy enough to cast, I hear you ask? It isn't. You backcast the team of gold-headed nymphs, and as you forwardcast, you use the resistance of the water on the flies to give the rod the spring to project those flies forwards. Derek makes it look easy. I did not find it easy.
That is a trout.
Is it a trout? Not a Dollaghan. I am very happy with that. That is a beautiful spotted.
Lovely resin brown.
Absolutely.
It's a small river trout, but I'm glad to catch something. Just as Philip talks through his nymphs, Derek gets another.
What sizes are they?
Between 18 and say 12.
12 and 18, yeah.
Here we go.
I don't know what you were doing wrong there, Charlie.
Are we being, what is the word? Sarcastic is one word.
I can think of a lot of words.
Because that is exactly where I was fishing.
That was.
So I mean,
That's fishing for you as well goes, yeah.
is that fishing? It's nothing to do with my technique. It's just that's fishing.
Where did Dollaghan come from? My third angling instructor, Jim Hockey, takes me downriver to where 6 Mile water runs into Lough Neagh.
Lough Neagh is about 150 square miles, and the fishery scientists reckon there are about 1.25 trout per acre on average, so that there are over 100,000 trout in Lough Neagh at any given time. This is one of the major rivers here, the 6 Mile water river. It goes through Antrim and up into the Antrim hills up towards Lough. We have the River Main, which goes away up into the Antrim Plateau. We have the River Ballinderry, the River Moyola, the River Blackwater, which goes down into the Irish Republic, the River Crumlin, the River Glenavy, and a whole number of other small rivers, and they all have populations of spawning Lough Neagh trout. We have something like 100 fishermen's families making a living from fishing on the lough here. Eels, perch, trout, all sorts of fishery netting goes on here, and it's monitored by our local Department of Agriculture, and the catch is all recorded, and the eels are shipped out to Amsterdam by airplane, and all sorts of fish go all over the continent. Salmon come up the lower bands, 36 miles from Toom over here, my left, down to the sea, and the salmon run up through Toom into the lough and then up through the feeder rivers here. There's no real game fishing on the lough. People have fished it now and again, but in fact all they really catch is pollen, which is a local whitefish, and the local fishermen here catch something like 1 million pollen a year. So it's a big fishery for the commercial fishery. It's like a freshwater herring fish, and if you go out there and catch fish flies, that's what you'll catch, but they're about 3 to the pound, so it's not really terrific sport.
We move to the pool where Derek caught his 22-pounder, and we revert to ordinary wet fly fishing, still with a gold-headed nymph. And at last, it all goes right for me, and I'm into a fish.
Is that? What is that?
That's a really fresh one.
Fresh Dollaghan?
Yep.
A fresh Dollaghan!
That's probably from last night, something like that.
God,
Last couple
he's
of
a
days. He's
beautiful colour. Absolutely beautiful.
Same as sea trout silver.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. Well, that's my first ever Dollaghan, and I could not be happier. And you can do this too. If you find yourself in Northern Ireland, go to the Antrim and District Angling Association website, book yourself in. Dollaghan fishing, it's sea trout, but better. Thanks to Jim Hockey for arranging that, and for excellent instruction from Derek and Philip. Derek is also available as a guide. Now, Ireland is the home of hunting, but there's a politician in the north who wants to ban it.
When it comes to creating hatred and division, the League Against Cruel Sports will go anywhere, do anything. In Northern Ireland, fox hunting is a cross-community triumph.
In this country, which has had so many difficulties, there's no prejudice. It is one of the few things that reaches out to all members of the community. I'm a plastering contractor, all my friends, they're all working class people, and we all enjoy hunting.
Here in Northern Ireland at the moment, we're trying to get away from a criminalised past. Why go into the future making new people criminals?
Dan hunts the Glens of Antrim foxhounds in the hills along Northern Ireland's northeast coast.
All our hunts would be by invitation, so farmers are concerned with the growing fox population. They've seen foxes, they're worried about them taking livestock. They have taken livestock, poultry, etc. And then we'd be contact the kennels, and we would be invited to come.
Now Lax has landed in Northern Ireland, wants to get rid of people like Dan, and has found the man to do it, John Blair from the centre-left Alliance Party.
My bill dealing with the hunting of wild mammals with dogs, where dogs are used for the kill, is not designed to target any community or any aspect of the wider country sports. It's intended solely to address a matter of great public opinion.
When I speak to a lot of the genuine conservationists, genuine animal lovers, they and I have so much in common. And indeed, John and I, in a lot of ways, have so much in common in care and concern for the countryside, the environmental issues, tree planting like we've done here, ponds, all of these things John and I have common cause on. And I would ask him to step back a little bit and to look at the interests of this minority.
Albert runs the Irish Game Fair and publishes books and magazines about shooting and hunting in both Northern and Southern Ireland. What's strange is that John Blair has been to Albert's fairs and has a history of supporting country sports in Northern Ireland.
I'm very supportive of the wider country sports community and sector. I've worked with them extensively over the years, both in my previous employment in Deira Inland Fisheries and now as someone who represents a largely rural constituency.
Albert organised a carriage to take me and Jim Shannon MP across the Irish Game Fair site in 2018. Jim is surprised that John has stuck his political neck out to try to ban hunting and trail hunting in Northern Ireland.
My conversations with John in the past, for instance at Shane's Castle Game Fair, would be a fella who perhaps understood the role of country sports in the countryside, number one. Number two, would be aware of the depth of support there would be for country sports, and in particular for hunting.
Perhaps even more surprising is that John does not consider himself or his bill to be anti-hunting.
I am not, and I should not be quoted as someone who is in any way anti-hunting or anti-country sports. It's a great frustration to me that many people active in the sector, not all, but many, have deliberately misrepresented what I'm trying to do by consistently referring to it as a hunting ban. It is not that, never has been that, will not be that with my name on it. It is, plain and simple, an attempt to bring a private member's bill where dogs are used for the killing of a wild mammal for human entertainment.
We have put the whole of John Blair's interview on YouTube. There's a link in the description below. The matter goes back to a survey produced for Lax, which claimed that 80% of Northern Ireland is opposed to hunting. John Blair followed it with his own consultation. Albert explains what went wrong.
Yes, well, John's own consultation, supposedly carried out under the rules of the Assembly, took as a starting point a survey carried out for the League Against Cruel Sports, and I do stress for the League Against Cruel Sports, by a UK company called Survation. The reason why I would be concerned about the results of the Survation survey, which gave 80% of people in Northern Ireland against hunting, is that it contrasted very, very strongly with two other surveys in Belfast Live, which give different results. So if I had been John, starting off from that point of view, I would have looked at the results of all three, not used the 80% from Survation as the basis of my consultation.
The public consultation that was done in relation to my private member's bill was consistent with Assembly practice and totally consistent with how consultations in similar private members' bills have been done throughout the years.
Gary McCartney from the Countryside Alliance is horrified that lax has landed in Belfast.
John seems to be working very closely with the League in drafting this, and obviously the information provided, which is unfortunately one-sided. John has not engaged with Countryside Alliance or the hunting community to the best of our knowledge, and despite our correspondence to him, he has refused to respond.
I have engaged with the hunting community regularly and often over the years. I do it all of the time. I work with local conservation trusts, I work with local anglers, I know many people individually who are involved in country sports, and I respect what they do.
Fox hunting here touches all ages.
Who's your favourite?
Causeway.
Causeway? Can you see Causeway? Is Causeway there?
That's him right there.
And why is he your favourite?
Because he's named after the Giant's Causeway.
The proposed bill has already hit some political bumps. The Ulster Farmers Union is against it. The farmers of the North Antrim Hills claim the highest density of sheep in Europe. John says there are alternatives to vermin control with hounds, and he has mentioned fencing against foxes.
I'm saying clearly that all alternatives to measures being used currently, which are being used despite the massive public opinion against them, need to be carefully considered by the department, those involved in the practices, those involved in the sector.
Well, John should come and try and fence it himself then and see how good he is at that. But you cannot control foxes in these areas properly without a pack of hounds. It's a tool, shooting, yeah, everything, but it's still, the pack of hounds is still needed, yeah.
A badly worded ban on hunting with hounds may bring Northern Ireland in line with the rest of the UK, but it is out of step with Europe and especially Southern Ireland. Will the bill gain support in Stormont? Jim Shannon reckons no.
My indication is that he will not gain support from Sinn Féin. The ones that I've talked to have told me that. The ones we've had discussions with, and we've had lots of discussions within the unionist community, he will garnish a lot of opposition, and within those who are small independent parties or independents, I think the issue will become difficult for him to gain statistical and mathematics support as well. So really, it's going nowhere.
John is certainly feeling the attacks on him. He is especially sensitive to the accusation that he is a lax member.
Those who say that I'm a member of the League Against Cruel Sports couldn't possibly know that I am, because I know that I'm not.
I wish John well in his future political career. I admire the hard work that he puts in on behalf of his constituents, and I would just urgently, very urgently, ask him to think again on the anti-hunting bill.
It's more important to address health. It's more important to address education. It's more important to address the roads. And it's definitely more important to address the economic issues. Those are priorities. I think he should do the same.
I think one thing that the hunting community does have to put across is they have to educate people. The likes of John Blair and that are providing misinformation to the general public, and people believe it. So it's up to us to fight our corner.
I'm sure we all get a feeling of déjà vu about this. Politicians need to learn that banning hunting is as useful as banning thirst or banning kindness. But if hundreds of hours of parliamentary time are what it takes, that's what it takes. Next, from political ambition to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, it is Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. A good quality film about deer hunting in Australia by an American couple. Honeymoon Rooster Hunt in Australia with Remy and Danielle Warren Part 1 takes the happy couple into the outback. For another good quality American in Australia, here is Jim Shockey's Uncharted, Hunting Deer in Australia Season 5 Episode 2, full episode from Danger TV. Among the big game films this week, Archie Nesbitt's Ultimate Shot series on Safari Channel takes him after Mid-Caucasus tour in the Kabardino-Balkaria region, where most of the peaks are over 5,000 metres. A couple of Fieldsports Nation members with films out this week. Tim Roche has his latest Derbyshire Countryman film out, Knocking Down Corvids Over Stubble. And Jaff Jefferson of the South Somerset Ferreters is pigeon shooting. It's a red letter day for birds and a first day for Picker Up a Poppy. Shot with Mick Miller is out shooting on cultivated rape stubble. It's an action-packed video of 4 guns decoying pigeons. With the clay season underway, Lloyd Patterson is at Bywell Shooting Ground in Northumberland, covering a recent shoot-off. And finally, Blood Origins continues its excellent series on Why Hunt. This film shows Sarah from Portugal. Her why may resonate with you, thanks to Per Homeseth for sending it in. That's it for this week. I have put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
And that's it for this week. If you haven't done so, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click to like us there on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page, and we'll contact you about this show. Fieldsports Britain is at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.